Hey folks, tonight we're not heading to a sunlit beach or a golden temple. We're going straight into a medieval castle, cold, dark, and crawling with more fleas than any self-respecting zoo would allow. You've probably heard of kings, queens, lavish banquets, and knights in shining armor. But no one talks about who cleaned up the vomit after the feasts, who baked the stale bread, or who literally slept next to a bucket that served as a toilet. In this video, you'll live that life, the real life inside a medieval castle, not the king's life, everyone else's, the ones who didn't make it into the legends. But before diving into the damp depths of the social dungeons, take a moment to subscribe, only if you really enjoy what I do here. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? What time is it? And did I help you fall asleep? That means more to me than a mold-free piece of bread in the 14th century. Now turn off the lights, take a deep breath, imagine the smell of smoke, damp stone, and expired cheese, and come with me inside the walls. Welcome to life in a medieval castle where luxury exists, but not for you. Before we begin, close your eyes, breathe slowly. Now forget everything you think you know about castles, because here you won't wear a crown, you'll carry buckets. You won't dine at banquets, you'll eat what fell on the banquet floor the next day. And you won't command anything. You're about to be born. You are born in the shadow of frozen stone. The nursery has no curtains, no tenderness, just moss and echoes. Your first sounds are distant footsteps in stone corridors and the wind whistling through badly sealed windows. You're not noble, not yet a servant. You're just another child born inside the walls, child of the seamstress and the armorer. Or the cook, maybe. Nobody talks much about it. Nobody talks much about anything here. The light filters weakly through cracks. The whole castle feels like it's always early morning. Never full daylight, never full night. The stones hold in the cold and release it slowly. You grow up hearing the sound of stone. Yes, stone has a sound. Creaks, drips, the vibrations of steps from above. Sometimes it feels like the castle is breathing. Your mother sings lullabies that don't rhyme, tales of bleeding kings and vanished cooks. She speaks softly. Someone's always listening, even when no one's there. You learn early how to be quiet. Loud children become problems. Quiet children become furniture. Furniture doesn't get hit. Food comes in cracked wooden bowls. Soup of something. You never know what. Sometimes it's carrot. Sometimes scraps. Sometimes it tastes like boiled cloth. But it's warm, and warm is a luxury. The stairs spiral as if they lead to heaven, but they only lead to work. You go up and down them before you can count. Your trade hasn't been decided. You're too small to be useful, too big to be ignored. The walls protect, but they also imprison. You've never seen past them. The outside world is just a concept, like summer or silence. You've heard about trees. You're not sure you believe in them. Your clothes are hand-me-downs. Whatever fits, whatever hasn't rotted, the boots never fit right. Your toes ache in the cold. They learn to curl. You see the guards training, always shouting, always sweating. They look at you like you're a rock, an obstacle, or a future mistake. One of them pushes you once, just to see if you fall. You don't fall, but you learn that standing up straight is a political act. No one says the king's name, not directly. He doesn't live here. The castle is his, but he only visits to collect things. Taxes, soldiers, loyalty. He shows up once a year, smelling like expensive horse and looking through people without seeing them. You don't go near him. You don't want to. But the day the king arrives is the only day they clean the windows. You sleep on the floor of a room with no name. 6 others sleep with you. Everyone faces a different direction, as if trying to dream of better spaces. One of them talks in his sleep. You learn to sleep deeper than his voice. At night sometimes, there are screams from the upper floors, from the ladies' chambers, screams masked by music, then silence, heavy silences, a silence in the morning that means someone left or someone was broken. You grow up in a world without leaves or horizons. Your world is stone, smoke, and orders. But you grow eyes, and eyes, even when quiet, learn to see. You see the crack in the central hallway, always there. The stone gives, but it never collapses, just like you. And every night before sleeping, you run your hand along the wall beside you, as if checking if the castle is still there, or if it was you who vanished. You learn early that there's a place in the castle you don't go, not because there's a locked door, but because the air changes, the temperature, the tone of voices. When you climb beyond the storeroom floor, the world bends. The guards stop laughing, the footsteps shrink, and hands start moving together like they're holding something invisible. Respect or fear. That part of the castle has tapestries, old, faded, but still tapestries. That means someone here doesn't have to scrub their own plate. There are rooms with names, chamber, hall, library. You don't know these names, but you hear them. The Tower of the Others begins there. You call it that. The others. Not nobles. That word is too grand. But the almost nobles, the ones with their own beds, metal spoons, shoes that don't bleed feet, the ones who command cleaning even when things are already clean, the ones who have time to have preferences. You go there once, brought by the cook to deliver onions, a long corridor, smell of old wine and faded perfume. A girl crosses your path. She wears a blue dress and a face full of practiced boredom. She looks at you like you're part of the floor. And maybe you are, because your ankles are still muddy. You drop off the basket and return without speaking. No one talks about the tower. No one dreams of it. Dreaming of it would be like wishing to become a wall. Pretty, but unmoving. You hear about a boy who tried, a squire's helper. Spoke too well for where he came from. One day he climbed 1 floor too high, spent the night in the cells, came back speaking softly. A year later he vanished. You don't ask. At mealtimes, the ones from the tower don't eat with you. They eat first, or after, but never with. Their food arrives warmer, in cleaner dishes. They say they get meat twice a week, but you've never seen it. You start recognizing the sounds of the tower, a softer kind of laughter, a quieter walk, a silence that feels full. You begin to understand that the castle is one, but has many floors, and each floor is an entire life. Yours, for example, is ground level, the dirt level, the task level, the arms level, but you have eyes. And one night, while gathering firewood, you see a shadow on the stairs. It's the same girl in the blue dress, but now she's crying, quietly, like someone who learned to cry without showing it. She walks past you like you're invisible, and for the first time you wonder, do they sleep in fear up there too? You hear about him before you ever see him. It's not a name, it's a title, the Bone Breaker. Every child hears stories, the kind adults pretend they never told. He lives in the basement, they say, or in the training yard, or everywhere at once. He doesn't break bones out of cruelty. It's his job. He shapes soldiers, trains arms, fixes posture, punishes mistakes, and then corrects even more. You hear his sounds before the man. Sharp cracks, stifled cries, the clink of iron, the thud of wood. One day, you're called, not because you did something wrong, but because you grew. Growing is a mistake that must be corrected. You arrive at the yard in your usual clothes, and someone laughs. He doesn't. The Bone Breaker doesn't laugh. He walks like the ground obeys him, speaks little, gestures a lot. And when he grabs your arm to correct your stance, you feel your entire future ache. You hold a training sword for the first time. It's heavy, unbalanced. Your wrist complains. The Bone Breaker doesn't care. He watches, adjusts, starts again, adjusts again. By the end of day one, you can barely close your fingers. But you come back the next day, and the next. You learn the weight of metal, the rhythm of pain, the difference between pain that harms and pain that teaches. He never shouts. That's the strangest part. You expected yelling, but the Bone Breaker doesn't need to shout. His silence weighs more. One day you see him crying, just a little, sitting alone, a dirty cloth in his lap. You pretend not to see. The next day he trains harder. You understand. Some bones even he can't fix. You spend more time looking at the floor than anything else. Not out of fear, out of habit. The floor teaches. It tells you who just walked by. Soft boots, hard soles, broken heels. It shows you what spilled. Wine from above, mud from below, blood from somewhere in between. Sometimes, the floor even reflects your face in a puddle you didn't see coming. In the castle, the floor isn't one, it's many. There's the warm stone near the kitchen, worn down by footsteps and spilled soup. There's the damp, mossy patches near the back walls, where the sun forgets to visit. There's the sharp, uneven cobbles in the armory, always ready to twist an ankle or stub a toe. And then there's the floor of the chapel, swept daily but never really clean. You learn to step differently in each place, with more weight or less. You learn which floor squeaks under pressure and which ones give you a quiet exit. Your work now is mostly cleaning, scrubbing with water that's colder than forgiveness, soap made from leftover fat and lye. You start with rags, then brushes, then hands. No matter how much you clean, dirt always returns, like breath, like sin. Sometimes you're asked to clean floors that don't belong to you. The tower floors, they smell different. Fewer feet, more perfume, less rush, more judgment. You feel their eyes before they speak. And when they do speak, it's with words that dance in circles, as if asking you to apologize for the way you exist. One day, a noble boy slips on a spot you just scrubbed. He doesn't fall, just flinches. But it's enough. The steward scolds you in front of everyone. You bow, you apologize. Later that night, you cry into the same rag you used on the floor, but you keep scrubbing, because clean isn't a goal. It's a punishment that never ends, and in time you realize the floor is where stories settle, where lies drip, where truths stain, where every crumb, every thread, every drop of something once whole becomes part of something forgotten. You spend your life walking on what others leave behind. But once, just once, as you clean the main hall, a girl in a faded blue dress walks past you. She doesn't look away, doesn't speak, but she steps over the spot you're scrubbing with care, as if not to erase your work. And that somehow feels louder than thanks. You first see her when your stomach is empty. You're holding a broom. She's holding bread. The real kind. Crusty, uneven, still warm in the middle. She carries it like it's nothing. Like it's not a miracle. She doesn't notice you at first. Why would she? You're sweeping. You're part of the air. You watch her cross the hallway from one room of the tower to another, humming a tune that isn't for you. But something about the way she holds the bread, with one hand no guard, makes your body forget it's tired. Later, you ask about her. She's a kitchen girl, someone says, half noble, half trouble. You don't know what that means. It makes her sound like a riddle, like a thing you should leave alone. So you don't ask again, but you see her again and again. She never walks the same path twice. Sometimes she's carrying a pitcher, sometimes a basket, sometimes nothing but a thread between her fingers. Her dresses change color. Her eyes never do. One day she drops a heel of bread, a real one. It lands on stone and doesn't break. You see it. She doesn't. You stare at it. It stares back. Oh, you wait for her to turn around. She doesn't. You pick it up. It smells like rosemary. Your stomach growls like something wild. You want to eat it right there, but you don't. You put it in your sleeve. You wait. Later, alone, you break it in half. One for now, one for tomorrow. The way you break it, he feels like ritual, like theft, like grace. The next day, she walks by again. You sweep, she hums, but this time she glances at your broom, then at your sleeve, then at your face. Just for a second, you say nothing. She says nothing. The next week, there's another heel on the ground, in the same place, just after she passes. You pick it up slower this time, as if asking permission. She never says it's hers. You never ask. But sometimes kindness is quieter than speech. And sometimes bread is more than bread. Sometimes it's a way of saying, I see you. Winter doesn't arrive. It creeps. The wind finds cracks it hadn't found before. Your clothes shrink in defense. Your fingers forget softness. Everything burns, but from the inside, a slow ache in the joints, the breath that stings when it enters. You work more now. Winter is when things break. Shoes, tools, people, and you're there to fix whatever can be fixed, or carry away what can't. The castle shrinks in the cold, not in size, in spirit. Laughter disappears. The halls go quiet. The kitchen grows louder, but the bread gets smaller. Then one night, the girl with the bread pulls you by the sleeve. She says nothing, just walks. You follow. Through a corridor you rarely pass, down a staircase that doesn't creak, into a room that smells of time and wax and heat. There's a small fire, not a grand hearth, a hidden one, coals carefully fed, a pot of something simple, onions maybe, or roots. It's not the contents that matter, it's the warmth. There are 3 others in the room. One older boy with a scar over his nose, one girl with ink-stained fingers, one child sleeping under a cloak. No one speaks. But they all shift slightly when you enter, as if they've been waiting. She hands you a bowl. You sit. The food is hot, too hot. You slurp carefully. It tastes like salt and patience. You realize in that moment that your hunger isn't just in your belly, it's in your chest, in your hands, in the part of you that forgot what kindness felt like. You don't thank her, no one does. That's not the rule here. But when the fire crackles, you see their eyes soften, just for a second, and it's enough. The next morning, you wake with ash on your sleeve. You go back to work, sweep, scrub, lift, bow. But something inside you stays warm. And for the first time, when you pass the thorn bushes outside the chapel, you stop. You pull one from the ground, thorns and all, and tuck it inside your shirt. You don't know why, but something about carrying pain that you chose feels different from the pain they give you. You never know when they'll happen. Sometimes it's after a feast. Sometimes it's before a visit. Sometimes it's just because someone in the tower got bored. They call them games. The older ones don't. They don't call them anything. The courtyard gets cleared, a circle marked with chalk or ash. Guards line the edges, not to keep people out, but to keep you in. You're not always chosen, but when you are, it's because someone saw your shoulders and thought they'd like to see them bruised. You don't get to say no. It's not war. It's not training. It's something older, something meaner. The kind of violence people enjoy because it looks like sport, but feels like hunger. You're handed a stick, sometimes blunt, sometimes cracked. Your opponent is another like you, maybe someone you shared bread with, maybe someone you once laughed beside. You don't laugh now. The rules change every time. Sometimes it's first to fall. Sometimes it's first to bleed. Sometimes it's just until someone important looks away. The first time, you try not to hit hard. You lose. The second time, you do. You win and hate it. You never train for these games. You don't talk about them after. But your body remembers. The ache, the shame, the silence. One day, the bone breaker watches. Just once, he doesn't blink. You fight better that day. Not for him, but because you can't let him see how much you hate it. He nods, just once. That night, you dream of your fists turning into stone. After the games, they sometimes give you bread, or bandages, or nothing. You limp for 3 days, then walk straight, because limping invites attention, and attention invites another match. But one night, the girl finds you in the corner of the yard, your lips split, your eye swollen. She doesn't speak. She presses something into your hand, not bread, not cloth, a small wooden figure, Rough, a bird with crooked wings. You don't ask where she got it. You keep it in your sleeve, near your ribs, and the next time they call you for the games, you touch it once before you enter the circle. You don't remember who gave you your name. It was whispered, not announced, written nowhere. It doesn't mean anything special, not strength, not wisdom, just something easy to yell when someone needs water carried or floors scrubbed. In the castle, names don't last long. People come and go. Some leave with their names intact. Some leave them behind like scraps of cloth. You learn early that the wrong name spoken in the wrong place can bruise your life, so you speak less. And when you speak only when asked. But then one day, the steward forgets your name. He pauses, mid-order, his eyes narrowing. What's your name again? You answer too quickly, too small, and he frowns. Let's call you Ash, he says, since you're always near the fire. And that's it. From that day on, you're Ash. It doesn't matter that it's not your name. It doesn't matter that no one asked. It's what they call you now. Some snicker, others don't notice. The girl hears it. She raises an eyebrow, says nothing. Ash, you don't hate it, not at first. It's better than hey or boy or you. It's something, even if it's from someone else's mouth. But as weeks pass, you start to feel it. The name sticks to your skin like soot, not yours, but clinging. Then, one afternoon, the bone breaker calls for you. He doesn't shout. He never shouts. Ash, he says. But when you step forward, he frowns. Is that what they call you now? You nod. He pauses. Then, you answer to names. Just don't forget your own. And he walks away. That night, you stare at the wall, wondering what your name used to feel like. You say it to yourself, quietly, just to hear it. And somehow it tastes heavier than before, like stone carried too long. It comes without warning. The sky folds in on itself. The light turns silver. The air sharpens like broken glass, and then the snow begins, slow, silent, like ash that forgot to burn. No one celebrates it. There are no songs for the first snow, only more work, more worry, more cold. You're sent to patch holes in walls that don't want to hold, to collect firewood that doesn't want to burn. You carry buckets, not knowing if they'll be filled with water or regret. The snow doesn't stop. It becomes part of everything, in the cracks of your boots, the folds of your sleeves, the hollow of your breath. Even the bread hardens faster now. In the yard, you slip once, fall hard. A guard laughs, you laugh too. It's easier than getting up angry. The girl finds you later, your elbow swollen. She says nothing. She places a stone wrapped in cloth against your arm. You hiss. She shrugs. You fell like someone who doesn't want to fall again, she says, and leaves. You sleep that night with the wrapped stone pressed to your ribs. It doesn't heal, but it reminds you you're still here. Then one morning, the bell rings. The real bell, the high one, the one used only when something is wrong or coming. People rush. Whispers rise like steam. A visitor, but not the king. A noble, a distant cousin of someone powerful. He arrives with riders and fur and a mouth too used to command. His eyes scan the castle like he's choosing what to discard. He doesn't see you, but he sees her, the girl. He asks questions, her name, her role, her parentage. And then he speaks with the steward. By nightfall, she's no longer in the kitchen. By morning, she's dressed in blue. The color doesn't suit her. You watch from a distance. You don't approach. No one does. She walks differently now, slower, as if measuring her own steps. You hear rumors, promises, bargains, futures sealed in halls you'll never enter. The snow thickens, and as you carry buckets past the tower, you see her standing near the window. She doesn't look down, but you stop anyway, just long enough to feel the snow melt on your lips, just long enough to whisper, "Don't forget your own name." They arrive before sunrise. You hear them first, not with your ears, but in your spine, the way the ground changes, the weight of hooves, the silence that follows them, like a shadow too disciplined to break formation. Men of iron, that's what they call themselves. Not knights, not soldiers, just iron, as if the metal is more trustworthy than their names. They don't smile. They don't speak unless spoken to. They move like tools, sharp, precise, necessary. And the castle bends to them. Doors open, fires are stoked, rooms are cleared. No one tells you why they're here, but everyone acts like they've always been. They train alone, eat alone, clean their own blades, but not their armor. Their faces are weathered in a way that makes age irrelevant. You can't tell if they're 30 or 60, only that they've seen too much. You watch from the corner of the yard. The bone breaker watches too, but he doesn't speak to them. He simply nods, and they nod back. One night, one of them finds you. You're carrying coal. He blocks your path, stares, not cruel, not kind, just weighing. "Your ash?" he asks. You nod. He grunts. "They say you don't fall easy." You don't answer. He nods again, moves aside. That night, you don't sleep. You start dreaming in metal. In the following days, they begin selecting, not volunteers, picks. One by one, boys from the lower floors disappear into training. Some come back, changed, quieter, harder. Some don't come back. Your name isn't called yet, but you feel it coming. Like winter, like war. One morning, you wake to the sound of the blue-dressed girl crying behind a door that won't open. You don't knock. You just stand there. And when you leave, there's a crack in the wall you've never seen before, just wide enough to fit a carving, just deep enough to hide something that matters. You place the bird there, the one she gave you, because you're starting to understand what men of iron forget. Not everything that bends has to break. The smell of straw never leaves you. It clings to your clothes, your hair, the folds of your breath. It's not unpleasant. It's not comforting either. It just is, like hunger, like the cold under your fingernails. You sleep on it, you carry it, you sweep it. It scratches you gently, like something pretending not to hurt. And one day, you realize you've never slept in anything else. When you were small, the straw seemed enough. A bed, a place, a softness earned through obedience. But now, you notice the way it molds around your bones, how it keeps the shape of your restlessness. You see her again, the girl, still in blue, still walking like her body belongs to someone else. But she passes you now without shame, without pretending not to know you. One evening, you find her sitting on the edge of the well, holding a piece of straw between her fingers, turning it, studying it, like it might speak. You sit nearby, not too close. She speaks first. Do you remember the first place you slept? You do? A corner, near the kitchen, next to the firewood. She nods. I used to sleep under the stairs, she says. I liked the echo. It made me feel multiplied. You don't answer, but you understand. You sit in silence, the kind that isn't heavy, just wide. Then she stands, walks away, leaves the straw behind. You pick it up, and you keep it. That night, you sleep differently. You press the straw under your hand, feel it resist, bend, then settle. It doesn't warm you, but it reminds you, you are not stone, not yet. Days pass. You begin to carve again. Small things, birds, branches, a face that might be hers, or yours, or someone who never lived but should have. You hide them in cracks, behind stones, beneath straw, not to be found, just to be left. Because memory isn't always about holding on. Sometimes it's about hiding pieces of yourself somewhere soft, so you don't forget what soft once felt like. They take you outside the walls, not far, just enough to remind you that the world still exists beyond stone. The air smells different, older, as if it remembers more than you ever will. You're part of a small group, silent, wrapped in patched cloaks and fraying wool. You carry spades, sacks, and silence. The field hasn't been plowed in years. They say it was abandoned after the last fire, or the last war, or the last something no one really says. But the earth is hard, resentful, like it resents being touched again. You dig. The spade hits roots, stones, bones. You pretend not to notice. So does everyone else. The guards watch from a distance, not to help, just to witness. The girl is there too, not in blue, in brown now. A tunic that's simpler. Her hands are raw, her eyes focused. You steal glances. So does she. One evening, while the others rest, you walk the edge of the field. The horizon glows. The sun, almost afraid to set. You find a patch where something still grows. Weeds mostly, but among them a single flower, yellow, defiant. You don't pick it. Instead, you sit beside it. The girl finds you there. You point to the flower. She nods. It remembers, she says. What? The field. It remembers what grew here, even if we don't. She kneels, touches the soil. Her fingers are pressed gently like she's apologizing. You don't speak. You don't need to. Later, you carve a flower, a match to the one in the field. You place it in the fire room, next to the bird, next to the seed. The carvings pile up. Quietly, softly, like memories that refuse to be erased. And every time you return to the field, you walk slower, step gentler, because now you believe her. The ground forgets nothing. The quiet makes you nervous. No bells, no orders, no one shouting your name, not even the wrong one. The guards don't pace. The cooks don't scream. The bone breaker hasn't shown his face in days. It's too still. Even the wind forgets to blow. You find yourself working slower, not from laziness, but because speed might wake something. The dust you sweep rises and falls like breath. You start listening more to the stone creaking, to the fire sputtering, to the drip of water behind the walls. The girl sits with you sometimes, not to talk, just to sit. Her tunic is stained with something you don't ask about. Her eyes darker than usual. One afternoon, she brings you a bowl of stew, no explanation. It tastes like everything you needed that day. You try to thank her. She shakes her head. I needed it too, she says. And for a moment, that feels like enough. The children don't play anymore. The games stopped months ago, but even the whispers of games are gone, as if the castle forgot it ever knew how to move. In the fire room, the air feels heavier. The carvings you've hidden now fill a corner. Birds, seeds, flowers, faces, none of them perfect, all of them true. You think of taking them down, but you don't, because they're not for show, they're for remembering. Then one night, thunder rolls, not from the sky, from within. The great bell sounds, once, twice, then silence. You wake, dress, step into the hallway. No one knows what's coming, but everyone knows it's here. And as the rain finally begins to fall against the castle walls, slow and steady like a warning, you whisper to yourself, this is the sound before something breaks. The cold feels different this time, not sharper, not deeper, just older, as if it's tired of freezing you and now wants to sit beside you quietly while everything ends. You wear the same cloak, the same boots, but your body inside them feels less temporary, heavier. Your joints speak in aches. Your breath hangs longer in the air, and the straw under your back crackles like old paper. You are still young, but not young the way you were. You carry more now, in your hands, in your eyes, in your silences. You still sweep, still scrub, but you move like someone rehearsing for departure. Even the girl notices. She doesn't say it, but you see it in the way she looks at you when you're not looking at her. One morning, she hands you a piece of bread. It's not much, she says. It's enough, you reply, and it is. The bone breaker returns, thinner, slower, but still upright. He nods at you in the yard, doesn't speak, just watches you spar with a boy half your size. You don't fight to win anymore. You fight to teach. He sees that. Later, he places a hand on your shoulder. You're not breaking, he says. Not yet. That's enough. The tower is quieter now. Fewer footsteps, fewer eyes. The noble who came long ago has left, but not without taking names with him. Rooms stand empty. Dishes remain unwashed. Something hollow echoes inside the castle, like a song someone forgot the ending to. You wake one night to find snow falling through a broken window. You don't fix it. You just sit beneath it. Let it land on your hair. Let it melt against your skin. Let it remind you that seasons pass, but not always fast enough. The girl sits beside you. Neither of you speaks. You just watch the snow fall inside together, like two people who've learned that warmth isn't the opposite of cold. Sometimes it's what survives inside it. The snow melts slowly. It doesn't vanish. It retreats, fights to stay, lingers in corners, hides in shadows, like it's afraid of being forgotten. You feel the same. The ice leaves puddles. The puddles leave stains. The stains become stories, footprints, spills, reminders that something heavy once rested here. The castle breathes again, but not freely. The air is damp, heavy, like lungs that forgot how to exhale. Fires burn longer, but not warmer. Meals stretch thinner. Laughter returns, brittle, nervous, quickly silenced. You work in silence. Everyone does. But now, when you pass people in the corridor, they nod. They say your name, your real one. Not always, not often, but enough. You don't correct them when they get it wrong, because even a misremembered name is better than none at all. The girl speaks less now. She walks more, carries messages, wears darker clothes. Her hands are always full. Letters, cups, secrets. You don't ask, she doesn't offer. But one morning you wake to find her carving in the fire room. It's rough, uneven, a figure, not of you, not of her, of someone else entirely. You ask who, she shrugs. Someone I didn't want to forget. You nod, you add it to the others. The carvings now line the wall, quiet witnesses, a museum of things unsaid. You dream again of the tree. It's taller, stronger. It has names carved in its bark, yours among them. But when you reach to touch it, it peels away. Not in pain, in peace. You wake with tears, not loud, just there. The sun breaks through a window that hasn't seen light in months. Dust dances. You watch it like you'd watch a miracle. Because maybe it is. Because thaw doesn't mean warmth. It means change. And you're not sure if you're ready. But you're still here. The fire starts in the east wing. No one screams. Not at first. There's only the scent. Sharp, bitter, final. Then the smoke. Thick, hungry. It finds every corridor, like it's been studying the castle longer than anyone else. You're in the kitchen when it begins. Someone yells, someone else runs. You don't. You grab a bucket, then another, as if water could hold back fate. But the fire doesn't want water. It wants memory. It eats fast. Rugs, beds, books, walls, even silence, especially silence. You try to help. You pass buckets, open doors, pull hands from the heat. But it moves faster than feet can carry. The guards shout orders no one hears. The bone breaker limps through smoke, eyes red, pulling bodies like sacks of wheat. You lose track of time. When the flames finally die, when the last spark curls into black, half the tower is gone, charred, collapsed. Ash. You walk the ruins, step by step, looking for faces, for names, for the girl. She's not there, not in the yard, not in the kitchen, not in the fire room. Your throat burns. You find the corner where you left the carvings. Gone, all of them. And in that silence, the loudest of your life, you sit, not to cry, to remember. Because remembering is the only way to say, this mattered. And in the distance, as the last of the smoke curls into the morning sky, you whisper the only name that was ever yours. Ash is everywhere, not your name, the real thing. Soft, gray, final. It coats every stone, every beam, every footprint you thought you had left behind. You brush it from your sleeves. It returns. You wipe it from your eyes. It waits. The castle does not speak. Its walls stand, but quieter. Even the rats are missing. The echo feels deeper now, like it has less to bounce off of. Like it's not coming back. No one tells you what to do. The stewards mutter. The guards patrol with less purpose. The bone breaker leans on his staff longer. The kitchen has less food, fewer voices, fewer bowls. You scrub floors out of instinct, patch cracks that no one asked you to fix, carry water to no one in particular. You do not ask, you do not speak. The girl does not return. You search. Once, maybe twice. The field, the fire room, the staircase where she once hummed, the corner where her shadow used to fall. Nothing. You try to believe she left, chose to, slipped away with someone rich and careless toward a place where bread comes without labor and names are spoken gently. But you don't believe it. You carve. Not a bird, not a seed. A doorway. Just a doorway. Standing alone. You hide it in the ruins of the fire room. Beneath the soot, under the stone, you begin to notice how much of your life you've spent watching doors close behind others. You wonder what's on the other side of yours. Sometimes you talk to the carvings, softly, as if they might answer. Sometimes you just listen, and the castle listens back. One night a storm breaks. Thunder, rain, wind that throws the shutters wide. You rush to close them like always, as if it matters, as if any part of this place still fears the sky. You stop. You let the rain in. Let it wash the ash from the stones, from the air, from your hair. It feels cold and clean. You breathe, and in that breath, you remember her voice, not the words, just the shape, the echo of something soft inside something hard. You sleep that night on the floor. No straw, no blanket, just stone. And for the first time in months, you dream of nothing. Not fire, not trees, just a quiet field. And in the center of it, a single footprint, yours. You begin to forget faces, not out of neglect, but because memory bends. It stretches the ones you miss until they blur at the edges. The girl's voice fades into wind. The bone breaker's nod becomes a gesture you might have imagined. Even the tower, the shape of it, collapses in your mind like it did in stone. But what remains is absence. You carry it with you like a second spine. It doesn't ache. It just holds you upright. The castle breathes again, slower. People return, but fewer. The ones who stay avoid eye contact. The ones who leave don't say goodbye. You keep working, but your hands move without orders, like they remember the rhythm of purpose, even when purpose is gone. You're not a servant anymore. You're just there. You sweep a corridor that leads nowhere. You mend a door that opens into silence. You carry water for rooms that haven't held voices in weeks. The fire room remains, empty now, cold, but clean. You sit there sometimes, carving. Not much, just lines, curves, shapes with no names. You bury them, burn them, place them in the gaps of the wall like offerings. You speak less. The bone breaker dies in his sleep. No ceremony, just quiet. You carry his body yourself, alongside two others. He's heavier than you expected. You don't cry. But that night, you carve a staff, a single crooked staff. You place it in a crack beside the old practice yard. The guards don't stop you. No one does anymore. One morning, you walk the field again. The flower is gone, but the dirt is warm. You sit, run your fingers through the soil. It clings to you, gentle, like it knows you. And you whisper to the ground, I stayed, not for praise, not for memory, just to say it aloud, just to hear your voice again. That night, you return to the ruined tower. You climb its broken stairs, step by step, until you find what's left of the upper window. You look out, not for her, not for anything, just to see what's still here. And in the stillness, in the ash, in the silence, you hear your name, not shouted, not whispered, just spoken, from the part of you that never left. You live for years without noticing, not because you forget, but because life becomes quieter, smaller. Days lose their names, meals blend, seasons shift without celebration. You grow older in corners, in doorways, in habits. People stop asking your name. Some never knew it, others don't need it. You become known by footsteps, by tasks, by presence, sometimes by silence. You no longer carve. The fire room is gone, sealed, collapsed. But you remember where the wall once held stories. You touch it sometimes, half believing the wood still lingers inside the stone. It doesn't. The girl never returned. No letters, no rumors, no face in a crowd that almost looked like hers. But you don't grieve. You remember. And remembering is enough, or you stay. Longer than you meant to, longer than they expected. You watch new children be born into the same stone. You see them scrub, run, fall, rise. You see them take your place, not with cruelty, but with rhythm. The castle needs movement. You become a shadow that cleans in the early hours, a whisper that fixes broken steps, a quiet that knows how to carry buckets without spilling. Your hands grow slow, your knees stiff, your back quiet with pain. But still, you climb the stairs. Still, you walk the yard. Still, you trace the old cracks in the walls, the ones no one else sees. Until one day, you stop. No fall, no wound, just stillness. You lie down beside the wall, and for once, you rest. No name carved, no story told, no monument built, but in the fireless dark, beneath forgotten stone, among the dust of the ones who came before, you remain, not in the walls, not in the carvings, but in the silence that follows when someone whispers, "I wonder who lived here." And so, you fade,